And
All
we
right,
are back.
we are back for another episode. Welcome, people of the world. This is another collaboration with Mental Warfare and the Release Valve. I am Kyle Span, your co-host, and I have two lovely gentlemen with me today. John, go ahead and take over.
Yes. Sean Hanlon with the Release Valve, another special collaboration episode with Kyle Spain of Mental Warfare, and we have our first official guest. Anybody that's been tuning in has known that we've been talking about having people reach out to us and let us know some of their stories and experiences that they've gone through. And we were lucky enough to have somebody reach out to us. So I want to introduce everybody to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Justin Ward.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm happy to be
Oh
here. Thank you,
man,
gentlemen.
yeah, thank you, my man. It doesn't it's not easy, going through the things that we go through in this life, in this world, right? It's so big and yet it's so small, and it's hard for people, to express their feelings and be vulnerable, with the things that they're going through, right? For multiple reasons, multiple cases, circumstances, and scenarios. So, we thank you for, taking the time out of your agenda and coming on here and being vulnerable and wanting to tell the world your story. Welcome.
No, thank you. And as first off, just want to commend the two of you for having this space for people. Just the things you guys talk about. Human connection is huge, and
Absolutely.
that's like something we lack in society. People have problems and issues, and really just talking and letting it out goes a very long way in trying to find solutions for those problems. So
Mm.
want to commend the two of you young men for having this space, right, and then inviting me to this space. I did reach out to both of you over the past 6 months. I've been completely sober, after 20, 25 years of drinking alcohol, partying. Decided it was time for a change, right? So it's very deep, to get into, but yeah, like Kyle, like you said, it takes a lot of vulnerability to be able to say it and admit it. Because
Yeah.
if I'm to sit here and say, "Hey, I'm Justin, I'm an alcoholic," the stigma of that is instantly negative, and oh man, look at this,
Yeah.
what is he talking about, right?
Exactly.
People compare that term alcoholic to negative, homeless, whatever you want to say, like stumbling around, somebody who's just a horrible person, but
Yeah.
it's not the truth.
A lot
you
of
know
Hmm.
when
negative
you
stereotypes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
And then so just coming to terms and being comfortable, like saying that it requires time, but you need to be able to hold yourself accountable, like first and foremost, in anything in life. So when you're able to hit that point where you could hold yourself accountable, speak those words, it's opened me up to a whole new world of just support. You know, things like this, conversations. I had a buddy of mine I met in a group call me today. He got in a big argument with his wife, and his instinct was to go, use his drug of choice. And he said, "No, I'm going to call you instead." And we had a good conversation for a while. And by the end of the conversation, he said, "Thank you. I feel better. I'm not going to do what I was going to do." So this space has opened my eyes to a lot. And the thing about it is you could be in a room with the bank robber, the bank teller, and the bank manager, and they're all there for one reason, because of some sort of substance abuse. Substance abuse does not discriminate, right?
Yeah.
It's there, it's deep. So definitely love to dive in to this topic because there's a lot we could talk about for sure.
Absolutely. Well, what was it? What was it that made you want to make the change? What was it that? What was that thing that was just like, all right, this is. I gotta do something. I gotta change. I gotta change what's happening right now.
Um, I think that like a lot of other people who have issues with substance abuse, whatever kind it is, you want to change and you've wanted to change for a long time. It's just finding the comfortability to finally do it. I started, I'm 40 years old. Started seeing a lot of friends of mine pass away, very young
Mm.
recently. Like it's been a lot, heart attacks and issues with their livers and all kinds of stuff. So it really like rung on a bell in my head. Like, man, I got two kids, a beautiful wife, two beautiful daughters. Like I need to be here as long as possible for them because we never know what could happen. Like we're blessed to be here like today, right? Like every day alive's a good day. People ask me like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I like how you guys were talking about like the case of the Mondays on your other
Yeah.
show, right?
Yeah.
I blow people away because people like it'll be Monday. Hey, how you doing? I'm like, man, I'm happy to be alive. That's half the battle right there. And then
Yeah.
people, and then they kind of look at you
It's like, dang,
like
like,
what's
yeah, I
wrong?
wasn't expecting
What's wrong
that.
with
Yeah.
what's wrong with him? But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. What's wrong with him? And
but
that's what's wrong with the
yeah,
world, man. We're so hurt. We're
yeah,
so
no,
hurt in this world. Our average and typical response is like, man, just another day.
Our
And
default is
so,
something negative, right? When dealing
yeah,
with other people.
yeah,
Because
and it,
it's often a reflection of ourselves and what we have going on. It's a negative
exactly,
mindset. So
exactly,
we're always taken back by when somebody else doesn't have that negative mindset. Like Justin said, it's like, whoa, where did that come from?
right.
yeah, so I always like as far as like drinking, I looked in the wrong places for the answers, and what I mean by that is you always blame everything else for you're doing something, right? So it's like long week of work. All right, well, I'm gonna come home, have a nice
Man,
drink.
preach.
Kids are in bed. Here I go. Let me drink till I fall asleep. I don't got to worry about nothing,
Hmm.
Yeah,
But it's blaming everything else instead of just looking at the problem. And to me, I realized the problem. Well, let me rewind that back. So I reached out to my doctor. I was feeling stressed out and I was maybe seeing if I get some sort of medication or something for anxiety issues, and because that's what our country does, and that's the thing. It's like, hey, you got something wrong here, take this or
Yep.
whatever. So
yeah,
Yep.
I'm like, let me call and see if I get some help with everything I'm dealing with. And the nice lady asked me a bunch of questions, and she started asking me about how much do you drink. I'm like, well, nighttime, when I'm by myself, everyone's sleeping, I could polish a whole bottle off. And she's like, well, how long have you been doing that? I'm like, and I couldn't think of a time when I wasn't like doing it. And I'm
yeah,
like, man, and then on top of that, like heavy like marijuana usage, um right? So you add in a bunch of like things, and then just experimenting with drugs at a young age,
Mm.
um all that. I'm like, man, I don't think I've ever had a time where I wasn't like sober off anything at all, like over the last 20-25 years. And she's like,
Mm.
wow, like, here, I want you to try this program out, give it a shot. And I thought it was silly. Like I told my wife, I'm like, I don't need this, because that's part of the stigma too. It's like I go to work, every day. I come home, I take care of the kids. Like I'm here. I'm not out on the streets doing nothing stupid.
yeah,
Hmm.
So in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, like everything's all good. But and I'm constantly blaming everything else around me. My job, the stress at work is because of the people at work. Like
Hmm.
there's nothing
yeah,
wrong with me. And then I got into the program when I started it, and I was a little hesitant. Then you start to like tap into different ways of thinking, and it's
Mm.
about accountability, right? And you have to stay sober when you're in the program. They drug test you, right? And so I took it serious. Anything I do, I take serious. Like if I'm gonna do something, like I have to want to do it and like it, and I'm gonna give it 100%.
Mm.
So got into the program, then it was just all like, wow, like here I am blaming everything else around me, but the mindset's been my own all along. It's the way I've approached it, and the things I was putting into my body it was the huge reason for that. If
Mm.
you put bad things in your body, you're going to get bad results. If you're feeding your body, fresh fruit and food, working out, yeah, you work out, you get natural dopamine released in your body. It's a natural
yes,
high.
Yes.
So
yes,
that you start to breed fresh ideas,
yes.
and it just
I
opened
call it
my
dope
eyes.
rush.
Yes, yeah, don't rush.
And
You
it's
know,
not
but
just
it
with food too, right? It's with all content and everything that we're visualizing. You know, things that we're putting into our brains, putting into our
Listening
bodies. You
to,
know, everything. Listening to,
yeah,
watching. You know, when you're knee deep into that negative lifestyle and everything that's going on with it, it's hard to take that step away from it and realize how negative it is.
yeah,
Um, and especially, you know, you're talking about alcoholics. I have a little bit of history with that, and I actually, you know, there are different sides of it, right? Because you have some people that are in complete denial about it. You know, they don't have a problem, they don't see what anybody else has an issue with. But then you also have those other people that are, which sounds like you were kind of in this category, um, those ones that justify
yeah.
what they're doing. Yeah, you know, yeah, I know I'm drinking, but listen, you know, like you said, you know, I'm taking care of my business. I'm going to work. I'm paying my bills. You know, the kids are asleep. It's not like I'm drinking around the kids or anything like that. You know, you justify for what you do. You know, I'm not hurting anybody. It's not a big deal, but you don't realize you are hurting people. You're hurting yourself, and in hurting yourself, that's how you're hurting those people around you. If you're not able
yeah,
to be your best self
100%.
around those people in your life, that's how you're hurting them.
100%. You're 100% accurate. And that's what I've learned in sobriety too. Is like I have to be the best version of me for my family. It's just me saying like, oh, like the justification. Well, I go to work, I pay the bills, I do this, I do that. That doesn't mean that I'm like that father number one. I'm not saying I was a horrible father, but now I feel present in the moment. Like I could
Mm,
remember every memory, over the past 6 months. It's just like that. It's the little things like that, and the justification is part of the addiction. It's part of the poison. It's it's everyone, no matter what they're addicted to, finds a reason why to use,
mm,
and they lie about everything else. Like, when you're an addict, you lie about everything. You lie your way through your addiction. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to others around you, because of your addiction. So
mm,
when you start to be truthful with yourself, and just open your eyes and your brain to like the truth and accepting like truth, you become a better version of yourself. And when you become a better version of yourself, then you are the better dad, the better husband, the better person. So
mm,
I tell people all the time, they say, why do you want to be sober? I said, I'm selfish with my sobriety. It's for me. Yeah, I have a wife and kids, but they're not going to get the best version of me if I'm not the best version of myself for myself.
mm,
So when I do
mm.
that, now I'm able to be, super dad and super husband and all that. But it starts with me, and that starts with holding yourself accountable. Like an addict would, go to the liquor store as soon as it opened, right? If they're going to the dope dealer at meet me at 4 o'clock, they're going to be there at 4 o'clock. So why can't you show up to work on time,
Mm.
or be there for your family? And that's just being real with yourself, and that's really real where it starts. Looking yourself in the mirror and being real.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I love that you said that as far as trying to having to be accountable. Actually, writing that in my next blog because I think that is huge for personal development and for healing and growth because that's just a way of being in denial, right, of how things are happening, and it's just not just for addiction purposes but for everything that's wrong that's going on in our life. We tend to blame, like you said, maybe the boss, or it's because I've got 10 kids, or it's because like we're always making excuses for why we were dealt this type of hand, right? And then we're looking at other people's lives, and then we're comparing ourselves to them, and then it's like, well, why me? Why do they get what they have? Why, instead of, like you said, looking in the mirror, it was like, well, what am I doing that's hindering my growth? What's hindering my peace? Why am I not as happy as I can be? And I feel like a lot of people aren't aware of that. And so I'm really glad that you said that, because accountability, to be accountable, it takes awareness, and that's self-awareness, right? And so if we're not if we're continuing to be in denial with that, then we're never going to be able to get to the next step. And I love that because accountability goes across the board.
Mm.
I agree, man. And That's very well said on your part too. Accountability is huge, and I'll harp on it again. If you're addicted to something, you're not holding yourself accountable, and you're going to justify every reason of why everyone else, it's everyone else's fault around you, and everything you do is okay. But you have to have that level of accountability, and it does translate all the way through. And that's one thing I've learned in my the groups that I've been in. I just started a new group recently. There was over 100 people in the room, and that's the big thing they were harping on was accountability. For me, it's not even like this group is keeping me sober, like I'm keeping myself sober.
Mm.
But this is teaching me other like life tools, and I'm also, like I was telling a friend, like becoming like a beacon of light, like for others
Absolutely.
to come to for support, because not everyone's story when it comes to alcoholism or drugs use is the same. So
Yeah.
it's just like regular life. Everyone has a different story, but the tools of accountability and and truthfulness, those things are a wide range, like anything anyone's going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking from experience, I lived a very one track mind type of life. Especially in the area that we grew up in. You grew up in that same exact area. A lot like we talked about before. A lot of egos in that area. A lot of images that needed to be upheld, and it was easy to kind of fall into that life of just trying to keep up that facade. Whatever that looked like for you, however you chose to go about your life. But it wasn't easy to like we say, be vulnerable and open up, and especially look at yourself when you have all these things going on around you that are so negative. Like you said, you're justifying it or you're blaming it on somebody else. Somebody else is at fault. And you're just kind of going from relationship to relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or even just friendships. Once you get to a point of you not getting what you were looking for from that relationship, you just jump from the next one, and you just keep going around in cycles of all this negative activity and all these negative things going on around you, and pointing that blame everywhere instead of having that opportunity or taking that time to reflect and realize what's the common denominator in all these negative things that are going on. Well, it's me. I'm the one who's involved in all these negative situations, and even though there are these other people that are involved in it too, but I'm still the main that main common denominator here, where I'm at the source of all this negativity, and I have to do something about that. And it was one of those things. I got tired of not taking myself accountable and not looking at myself in the mirror and saying, like, dude, you and your mindset is what's wrong here, and that is what has to change. And once I came to that realization, like you said, I started realizing, I started seeing a difference in the relationships that I was having. I also started seeing some relationships just fall off completely,
Yeah.
and then other ones come in that you never expected, that you never saw coming, and it was exactly what you needed, type of thing. That type of support. It's funny the type of support that you get when you do start opening yourself up and being vulnerable and start talking about these type of things. It's crazy because you don't really think about getting that type of support, at least through the people that you're initially surrounding yourself with, right? It's funny, like I said, the people that fall off and then the people that come out of the woodworks to be there for you.
Oh man, I trust me. I could definitely speak on that. I have friends. Well, obviously, we grew up with the same group of people, and there's some of them that's all we did was party all the time from a
Mm.
young age, like experimenting, with marijuana, cocaine, other things at a very young age, and all the way through our mid 20s. And that was like, I don't talk to any of those guys now. I don't
Right.
wish anything bad on any of them, but
Yeah.
there's some people that we grew up with who they're off in situations where they don't even take care of, they don't even see their own kids. They
Hmm.
and it's really sad, and substance has come over their life, to just complete,
Hmm.
taking it over. Um, it's but we were around that at a young age,
Yeah.
and I don't. I'm comfortable. It hurts, when people go away, but they say people come in your life reasons, seasons. I mean, there's other people I've grown up with who they won't even come to my kids' birthday parties or wish me a happy Father's Day, but they want me to go to the bar with them, and what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
if I don't go, then it's like, oh man, you never go, da da da.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, hey, but you never come to, my
The
kid's
real shit.
birthday. Yeah, the
Yeah,
real
yeah.
stuff. So in a sense, it does hurt a bit, but blessings come in disguise. I have a coworker. I had took some time off of work. I came back. Coworker comes up to me. It's the first time I met this guy. He's got tattoos all over his face. And one of the very first things he tells me is, "Hey, introduce me. Hey, I'm this so and so. I'm in recovery. I'm a recovering addict." And that was literally like the first thing he came at me with, and it blew my mind. But it gave me like the comfort level to tell him what I was going through, like right
Yeah.
away. And this is someone who checks in on me every day. We have great conversations when I'm feeling down and low. Like, he reminds me of why I need, because in my job, I'm in charge. I'm one of the bosses there, right? So he comes and reminds me, hey man, we need you. We need that good energy today, because people look up to you, people see you, and they're watching all your moves.
Mm.
So it comes in disguise for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but that's part of just being real. Like,
Yeah,
it's
no,
just.
I was gonna say it. Once you start trying to get on the right path, God has a way of removing people from your circle and from your life, and bringing in people who are going to facilitate that growth. And I agree with you, man. It sucks. Like, with some of the relationships that have to be removed from your life because of the energy that they bring, right?
Mm,
And like in scripture it says, like the enemy's in your own home. And so I've lost so many relationships within my family that are just like, that's so unfortunate. And even with really close friends, just like wow, like, I mean, that shit is stupid. Why did it have to be that way? You know what I'm saying? And so
yeah.
it really does suck. But when we're on this path of trying to of self development, self growth, that's a part of the process. And it's not easy to deal with. I'm actually trying to navigate through certain relationships as well, just trying to figure out, like, oh, are they for me or are they against me? And so protecting your energy is extremely important, because energy is influential, right? I mean, it's contagious. When you're around certain people, they bring you down or do they bring you up, right? And so that's a feeling that you get from other people, and so it's important to be aware of that as well, in trying to protect your energy, trying to protect your peace. And that's why we're here right now, being able to talk, because vulnerability takes trust, right? And if you can't trust the person you're talking to, then there's no level of comfort. Then I don't trust you with what I'm going to tell you, because now my heart's involved, right? And
Mm.
so we can't overstep that line if we don't have that type of mutual trust, that vulnerability. And when the guy came up to you talking about, hey, like, this is my addiction, it literally broke those walls down and allowed you guys to connect on a different level. And it's really about connecting, right? Because you can know somebody for X amount of years and still not know them underneath the surface, right? Not know, like, what their not their deepest secrets, because obviously people still have their emotional secrets that they keep to themselves, but like, those type of things that you are vulnerable, that's how you connect, that's how you bond with people, that's how you build relationships. Think about your wife, right? Your wife probably knows the most about you than anyone else, and it's because of that your bond is stronger than anybody else's bond. And so, I mean, that just goes across the board, though. So yeah, you
Reminds
talking
me of
about
the this saying, and I think we've talked about this before, Kyle. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
yes,
And it's one of those things you can apply that again to so many different situations, different scenarios. But again, even when it comes to recovery, growth, anything along those lines, being able to lean on somebody, anybody, is the best way to go far and to really
Yeah.
get to gain some ground and get to where you need to be. And on the flip side of that, it also feels really good to be that person for somebody else. Excuse me, to
Yeah.
be that person for somebody else. You know what I mean? Like Justin, you were saying, that you have people calling you now and hitting you up saying, like, hey, I was feeling down, I was feeling low, I had some negative thoughts, feelings going on. I wanted to talk to you about it. And then at the end of that conversation, like you said, he's walking away from it and like, man, I feel so much better. Thank you. You
Yeah. The
provided
fact
him with something
exactly.
so like irreplaceable.
Right.
You
And
know
it,
what I
it
mean?
was it was the fact that he trusted you enough. He felt comfortable with you enough to be able to call you. Right. And so that's really the issue today, right? Because if you're feeling alone, there's not anybody you're going to be able to express your feelings to, right? Not anyone that we can trust at that matter, right? And so he was able to, to trust you with his feelings, and at the end of it all, it was a positive result. And that's what we need more of in this world, being able to lean on one another, because like you said, Sean, when you started talking about growth, right? And it's crazy because when you're on this path of growth, healing, and self-development, you'll start seeing you. I mean, I'm a very spiritual. Okay, so I believe, like, I'm heavy with energy, negative energy, and just the enemy just being in our minds and trying to attack us in every way that's negative, right? And so when we're on this path of growth, like people like will hate on that. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's why our circles are so small, right? And that's why there's certain people that need to get removed from our life, because of that energy. It starts to become more apparent, right? And it's like it's more difficult to navigate. You know what I'm saying? Especially when other people are starting to hate on that path. I'm feeling like I'm speaking from experience. It was crazy because like you start noticing people's energy, and once you start noticing it's affecting your life and what you're trying to pursue, then that's when the like the question marks start going up. And it's like, okay, that's when like we like, well, how do we navigate how like these relationships? I'm not sure if you guys have any relationships in your life right now, but there's still just certain relationships that I'm trying to navigate through. And it's like, of course, like we talked about, as close as family, right? And it's like how do I go about this without damaging any relationships, right? How do we go about like doing this when they're supposed to be my brother and my sister? And so that's the warfare that a lot of us go through as well, of like trying to manage the relationships around us. And I feel like went off a little bit off topic, but I think that accountability kind of ties into all of that, because if you're not able to be accountable in your relationship with somebody else, then you're not allowing, like, so for example, like being able to be apologetic, right? So if you're in an argument with somebody and you did some ill will, you did some wrong, and you can't hold yourself accountable as far as admitting those wrongs, then in that relationship you're restricting the possibility for growth, right? Because it's the same thing like you talked about, is being able to look in the mirror and know that what's happening isn't right. And so therefore you open up the doors for better things, for growth and healing. And I guess that's my warfare at this moment, because we're all going through something, man.
Yep.
And I just appreciate you guys for being able to come on, because I kind of just like opened some doors for some of the things that that I've been dealing with as well. So like that's what this world needs, though, is community and being able to connect on a different level, right? But it's not always easy. And so hopefully we can expand this, and we can get more people on here like you, Justin. And just thanking you again for being able to come on here and talk about your struggles and battles, and having a success story, right? Being able to overcome it, because a lot of people are going through what you're going through, and there's so many people in the world that feel alone, that we're unable to get that help that we need to grow, right? Some of us don't know how. We don't know which way to go into. We don't know which path that we can trust, because people, people are ugly. Some people, don't want us to succeed. And that's the tough thing, and that's why we're in this mode of not being able to be vulnerable in the first place. So,
If I could piggyback off that too,
yeah,
that's one of my driving factors in sobriety is like I know there's a bunch of people just waiting on me to relapse and fall off just to be like, see, like I knew it,
totally,
and that drives me like
absolutely,
to be sober because what you said does tie in to like the world that I've been engulfed in over the past 6 months is learning how to set boundaries with people, and
yeah,
it could be a family member, it could be someone close, your spouse. It's just coworkers. There's different levels of different boundaries that you have to set, um,
exactly,
and that's just for your own sanity, and and
yeah,
not
Yeah.
just like
protecting
for
your own
me.
peace.
Exactly, for your own peace. There's not everyone. My wife told me something a few months ago or so. She was like, not everyone has our best intentions.
Exactly.
And it just that's stuck in my mind. Like what I like. I feel like I have a lot to give, but I'm
Yeah.
only gonna give it to like who deserves to hear it.
It, right.
I want everyone to especially
It,
like talking about being sober and whatnot. Like I want everyone to hear that. Like I'm not
mm,
gonna just not share that, or be an ear for somebody because there are some people I've reached out to who recently that are struggling, having some issues, and you can only speak from like for me, I could just speak. This is what works for me. Like I
yeah.
don't tell them, hey, you have to do this and that's
Right.
this and that because they have to come to that determination in their own brain. Just because everyone loves you and you love someone, you don't want to see them fall. That doesn't mean you're going to stop them. That's just going to drive them farther and farther off the deep end. When you
Mm,
when you're
yeah.
I'm sure everyone because everyone has somebody. I'm assuming that they know, um, that's struggling with something, and they see the person that drinks too much somewhere, or they're partying, and but that doesn't mean they're not going through something in here, and that's if I just add on to that, like the one thing I don't like is the way our world looks at people who are dealing with substances, like substance abuse issues. They're looked down upon. I mean, if you look at the name for AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, you're already saying that like you're hiding. You don't want people to know what you're
Yeah.
going through.
Yeah.
Um, it is a safe space, and I understand. People have jobs and things they have to protect, but it's like it's already the stigma of it's crazy to me that alcohol is sold through happiness, right? It's bad. Everyone knows it's bad for you if you drink a bunch, right? There's people that we call normies, normal people who could have the two drinks be fine, and that's cool, good good for you. But alcoholics, um, they know that alcohol is bad for them. They're putting the poison in their body. But it's you watch a commercial, everyone's laughing, having a good time drinking. It's in movies,
Hmm.
it's on TV shows. It's the same way they sell fast food. McDonald's. Everyone knows that's bad for you, but
Yeah.
they got Happy Meals with smiles and playgrounds and mascots and
Yeah.
like
Young,
you know what
Meals
I'm
happy
with
saying?
families, and they're
smiles.
all in shape.
Yeah.
Nobody's out of shape or obese or anything like that.
So
All smiles and
you have that side of it where it's all
yeah,
like hey, rainbows and smiles, and then you got
yeah.
the people that are struggling from it on the other end and still have to be anonymous at the same time.
Mm.
So having any avenue. The one thing I could say is any avenue to just talk to somebody. If anyone who does listen to this like has an issue, just talk to somebody.
Yeah.
There's You'd be blown away. Like I've been blown away just how supportive like groups are of people. And not
Mm.
everybody is like super positive gung ho like me. I even had a guy say that to the leader of the group. He's like, "What if you're not as positive as Justin?" And
Yeah.
it's just my mindset, But
Yeah.
everyone looks at things differently. But the point is like, dude, he was there. He might not have been as positive as me, but he was there. And you have to have connection and communication if you're going through anything in life, especially substance abuse. All right, but just
Mm.
anything in general, you have to just let it out. But you know,
I think
started
that's
off with
huge.
just boundaries.
Yeah, I think that's huge for you to say though, Justin, because a lot of people are going through many different things and struggles that are difficult to deal with, and for you to be able to find that mental space to where you can be positive, that's the goal, right? And if you can't get to that place, then that, I mean, you're going to be disturbed. You're never going to have that inner peace. And it's like he said, well, what if you're not as positive as Justin? I mean, that's indicating that he's still suffering from a lot of mental warfare, a lot of thoughts that are attacking him in a negative way to where the cycle can't be broken, right? And so that the mud, that rut that a lot of us that are going through, that we can't seem to get out of because of the way society is set up. It's just, once we get in these modes of negativity, and it's just we're continuing to cycle those same thoughts. It becomes a part of our life, and for X amount of years after, it becomes woven. It becomes almost cemented to where now you need a jackhammer to get through. And so it's like you said, being able to get that help and being able to talk to people at an earlier stage, so we can get to your mindset, is vital. Because that's the world that we live in right now.
Well, I think it also goes back to what you said before too, Justin, about what you are putting into your body. Not just physically, but the overall quality of the food and drinks and stuff like that you put into your body, but the relationships that you're having with people, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, all those the voices that you're listening to and hearing, the content, the videos, like you said, Kyle, social media. If you're constantly putting all these negative things into you, like you said, Justin, you're only going to get that one result, and that's a negative result. So surrounding yourself with the right group of people, like you said, setting those boundaries, and whoever is able to work within those boundaries is when you start finding out who's the right people to be around, and that's when that healing really gets going, is when you find that support through those people. It's not always easy, but that first step is just having that self-reflection, having that conversation with yourself, that there needs to be change, and then from there pushing that internal conversation outward to other people and seeing who responds and how they respond, and then going from there. Because again, like I said, you can go fast by yourself, but you're not going to go very far, and you're going to need somebody at some point to really help you along the way. And it's just so very crucial to make sure that you have the right people in that place.
Yeah, and then, dude, I love that, man. You talking about like content? I right after the new year, I went on my social media and I deleted like 1,000 things that I follow. Like I'm looking at it, like I
I
follow
did the
like
same.
5,000 things. Like why do I follow 5,000 things?
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Just the things that are being like fed to me, like I want to change what I'm looking at. I went to the library and got a library card recently, and I go get books and I read,
Nice.
religious books and positivity books and sports books and
Yeah.
just something. It's just a different like mindset. The podcasts that I listen to, it's all in my control, and that's how I feel.
Exactly.
Like it's there's so much stuff available in the world. You could, there's people that have fears of dogs. There's probably, I'm pretty sure there's like a dog group you could go find and with people at this point.
Nowadays, the access that you have online,
Yeah.
there's a community somewhere for anything, right? That's
Yeah.
a really good point, man. You can nowadays, with the access that we have through social media and just the internet, it's endless resources of finding help, no matter what the situation is. I'm glad
Yeah.
you said that, man. That's so true.
Yeah, and it's about getting to that decision though too, right? It's about getting to that point to where all
That
right,
gut
now
check.
all right, now I need to do something. Now I need to go find the resources, because that's the hard part. Is
Yeah.
making that decision. Finally making that decision to make that change, and then
Well,
trying.
then being sober is a huge part of that too for me, because you have a clear mind, a clear state. There's nothing like
Yeah.
holding you back at that point. It's like go get it now. You know what I'm saying? It's It's not that crutch. If someone's afraid of a snake, you know, hand them a snake, let them hold the snake, because
Yeah.
how you have to address everything. I'm thinking that, like we talked earlier, it's the boss, it's the issues at work. Nah, it's me, man. It's what I'm willing to
Yeah.
accept. It's what I'm willing to give back. So if I'm, accepting this and this is how I'm reacting to it, I can't numb myself away from it. How do I get stronger and get better? And then if you have the clear vision, the clear slate, and that's why I've chosen to do it sober, because I see the positive effects, and now you're able to, okay, I'm in control. I could do this, I could do that. And not everyone is that way. I've been around people recently who have, in the groups, who have, a lot of things weighing them down. um, Guy came in drunk, to a meeting. He cried, like,
Yeah.
and he was the last person to talk. And and it was very like, wow. It was a real, everyone's going through positive, 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 we're getting ready to get done. Last guy goes, yeah, I pounded a bottle right before I got here, and I can't do this, and da, da. And everyone uplifted the person, like, hey,
Yeah.
you got this, it's okay.
You're
um,
here. You made it here.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
You had that drink, but you still made it here.
yeah. And I really, my mindset in life is like, it's forward. And it's hard, it's not easy, but it's forward, because I can't do nothing about what just happened. Even 5 minutes ago, I can't take back what I just said.
Hmm.
Time is the most valuable thing we all own,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
And
So
yet we take it for granted.
exactly, we do, and that's, like I said, that falls with the same thing with alcoholics and drug addicts. People do things and just take it for granted for that feeling. You gotta break the chains and get free, because your body's taking a toll. You take it for granted. You think you're gonna live forever. It's not true. Get
Yeah.
that clean slate and then go find something new. Change the game. It's okay to change it up and do positive things. Like sitting here talking to you guys. I mean, I'd rather be doing this than sitting on the couch drinking a beer right now. Like, that's just for me, like,
Hmm.
because this is helping us evolve as men, right? Because as men, we tough it out.
Hey.
You learn that as a young age. Walk it off, tough it out, suck it up.
Yeah.
And that's, like, men need to have these conversations
That's
and
it.
be
Oh,
real and be
man.
real with each other too.
I'm so glad you just said that. I was just talking
Yeah, let's
about
definitely
this.
getting into the next episode.
I was just talking about this, man, with my last guest, actually, about the importance of that, man. Men and the stigma behind, the macho man, and not like we were saying, the egos that around where we grew up, especially, it wasn't cool to open up and talk like that. You know what I mean? You had an image to uphold, and
Man.
opening up about your feelings was not the image that you were trying to uphold.
Listen, me being that just reminds me, I was actually talking to my wife about this, and me growing up, I was very when I kindergarten to fourth grade, I went to a predominantly white school, but after that, you know what I'm saying, it was really diversified. And then my freshman year at Newark, it was kind of like more majority of the white people, but then like after that, it really started to get diversified. So like growing up in like elementary school and junior high, I like a lot of music, right? So I really like listen to all kinds of music, but being black, right? You can't just go around with your friends and your homies talking about Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. Right? You know what I'm saying? So that right there is like, I used to like those songs, and I used to like have to label my burned CDs like all differently. So my friends would so my friends would be like, "Yo, bro, you like that kind of what? Come on, man, right?"
Yeah.
Just so you don't get made fun of, and so like that's the type of stigmas, like that type of mentality that we had to. You're not tough if you
But
listen to Backstreet
secretly,
Boys.
everybody knew those songs, though.
Yeah,
Everybody knew
man,
the
like,
lyrics.
Absolutely, you got everyone.
Nobody
singing
wanted
this-
to admit it.
Exactly. You hear the radio. It comes on the radio now. You got everybody singing it. It's crazy.
Facts. trying to blame it. Oh, that's my sister's. That's my
Yeah,
sister's.
my sister was always
Right?
listening to that, man. It
That's
got
her
in my
CD.
head.
Oh man. But again, man, thank you, Justin, for coming on and being a guest on here and telling your story. That we hope that the people that are listening can connect and get the help that they need and have perspective and have a story to relate to, because that's the problem.
That's
A
it.
lot of us are in our own bubble or in our own world, and this will be repetitive, but that's the cycle that we're in. That's the things that we're continuing to see, and not being able to express ourselves and connect is really the issue. And so and I think it's really just a lack of experience when it comes to like stigmas and why people judge in the first place. And if we can get to a place to where we can both be the most empathetic, then we'll be in a better place as a society. So thank you again, my man. And to everyone who was watching, thank you for tuning in and give us feedback. Tune in, comment. Like, what did you think about Justin's story? Can you relate? Do you have any other advice or information that you can add to this? We all need to grow in some type of way, and learning is the first step. Of making that choice as well, of trying to reach out and be vulnerable like Justin did. So thank you.
Thank you for having me on here too, guys. I definitely appreciate it. Should I leave like a closing comments or what?
Hey, yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I'll say something that they say in this new group that I'm in. If you want what we got, you got to be here to get it. And that's, I mean, it's all the stuff's out there. If you want to learn, how to navigate through recovery, life, it's all out there.
Can you please say that again for the people
Yeah.
again, because I love that, because that is so general that
Yeah.
should hit everyone's situation.
So it's if you want what we got, you got to be here to get it. And it really, this group relies on a lot of accountability, and I think that has accountability all in it right there. If you want what we got, you got to be here to get it.
Yeah, action.
Just
That's what I hear when you said it. Just
got to do it.
You got to go get it.
If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way.
Yeah. Otherwise, hey, life will find a way. You won't have the time.
Exactly.
It'll be
Exactly.
over.
Life will find a way, and that's the battle that we're having every day. Life is kicking our ass, and a lot of us aren't aware of it.
But
But that's why
thank
we're here.
you guys for having me on here too, and I praise both of you for having this space and being here, man. So thank you, and you have me on anytime you want.
Yeah, man,
absolutely.
we're looking forward to it. We're looking
We
forward to it.
appreciate you reaching out and like Kyle said, being vulnerable enough to put your story out there. Because again, the more perspective that we can shed some light on, it may help some other people realize that they're not alone in the struggles that they have going on either. So
It will help.
again,
This is inevitable.
Yeah.
And it is. There's just like it's just a matter of reaching out and connecting, and this is the start of it. So thank you again, Justin.
all right. Till next time. Thanks, everybody.